There is a truth that has been hidden from you, buried deep beneath layers of expectations, of conditioning, of fear. To be a real woman is not to be perfect, to be pristine, or to conform to any ideal image that the world has carved out for you. To be a real woman is to accept yourself in your entirety, your light and your dark, your brilliance and your shadows, your strengths and your vulnerabilities. For too long, society has demanded that women be good, be pure, be gentle. And in doing so, it has cast aside the parts of you that are fierce, that are bold, that are unapologetically powerful. But true strength comes not from suppressing your darkness, but from embracing it. True femininity is not about perfect smiles or quiet submission. It is about stepping into the fullness of who you are, even the parts of you that you have been taught to hide. The light, the part of you that is nurturing, compassionate, creative, and radiant, is the part of you that the world loves. It is the part of you that everyone praises, that is applauded for its kindness, its grace, its ability to care and give. But this light cannot exist without its counterpart. The darkness, the side of you that is fierce, that is untamed, that is bold and unyielding, has been demonized. We've been taught to hide our anger, to stifle our desires, to turn away from the power that comes from standing in our full, unapologetic truth. And so we live in a world where women have been told they must be light, but have been stripped of the permission to be dark. We've been told that strength is only gentleness, that power is only softness, that success must come with a smile, that anger is destructive, that ambition is selfish. But the truth is, real power comes from embracing both your light and your dark, both your joy and your pain. Your light is your gift to the world. It's the love you share, the kindness you offer, the beauty you create. But your darkness is where your real power lies. It is the part of you that will never apologize, that will never bow down. It is the side of you that fights when no one else will, that stands tall even in the face of adversity, that creates boundaries, that protect your peace, that says no when the world tells you to give, that dares to be ambitious in a world that prefers you to shrink. If you want to be a real woman, if you want to step into the fullness of your being, you must stop running from your darkness. You must embrace it, because only when you accept both your light and your dark will you ever fully know yourself. There's power in your shadows, in the parts of you that you've been told to reject. Your darkness is your strength. It is the fuel that propels you forward when your light feels dim. It is the fire that burns when your path seems unclear. It is the deep well of wisdom that you tap into when you are no longer afraid of your own intensity. The darkness does not make you weak. It makes you real. It makes you whole. It makes you powerful. And it allows you to be human. The fear that we have been taught to feel about our shadows is the very thing that holds us back from living as our most authentic selves. What if we stopped being afraid of what we could become if we let our darkness shine as brightly as our light? A woman who has accepted both her light and her dark no longer seeks validation from the outside world. She knows she is complete as she is. Her power comes from within, from the acceptance of her whole being. She doesn't shrink in the presence of others. She doesn't apologize for who she is. She embodies every part of herself with grace and confidence, because she knows that both light and dark are needed for her to thrive. The real danger is not in expressing your anger or your ambition. The real danger lies in suppressing your feelings, in ignoring the parts of you that are desperate to be seen. When you push your darkness away, you are pushing away a part of yourself that holds immense wisdom. The most powerful women in history have been those who were unafraid to stand in their full, unapologetic power, those who knew that they could be both nurturing and fierce, kind and strong, loving and bold. When you embrace your darkness, you no longer fear being misunderstood. You stop seeking approval because you have nothing to prove. You stop dimming your light for fear of shining too brightly. You stop hiding parts of yourself, and in doing so, you become the most authentic version of you. You begin to live with a freedom that comes only when you are no longer at war with yourself. This is the true meaning of feminine power. It is not about being perfect. It is about embracing every part of yourself. The light that gives and heals, and the dark that fights, protects, and demands respect. Both are equally powerful. Both are equally necessary. You see, the world will always try to tell you what to be. It will tell you that women should be soft, kind, gentle, and forgiving. But it will also punish you when you are too soft, too kind, too gentle. It will expect you to shrink when you rise, to be small when you dream big. But the woman who accepts both her light and her dark is not afraid of any of it. She stands tall in her truth, knowing that she is both the warmth of the sun and the ferocity of the storm. When you stop running from your darkness and start accepting it, you will find that you are no longer controlled by it. You no longer feel the need to suppress your emotions, to hide your ambitions, to apologize for your intensity. You no longer feel the need to fit into the narrow box the world has created for you. Instead, you create your own box, one where all of you, light and dark, joy and pain, softness and strength, can coexist. This is where true liberation lies, in the acceptance of your entire being. The woman who accepts her light and her dark is a force to be reckoned with, because she is unafraid of herself. She knows that to be whole is to embrace every part of her, even the parts that others might label as too much. She knows that she is not too much. She is everything she is meant to be. So, stand in your power. Embrace both your light and your dark. You don't have to be perfect to be powerful. You don't have to fit into anyone's box to be valuable. You are complete as you are, and the world needs every part of you. When you stop running from your darkness, when you stop fearing the parts of yourself that you've been taught to hide, you unleash the full force of your potential. And nothing in this world can ever hold you back again. When you allow both your light and your dark to coexist, you unlock a power that others cannot even begin to comprehend. You stop being defined by external expectations. No longer do you seek validation from a world that demands you to fit into neat, comfortable categories. You are no longer afraid to express your needs, to assert your boundaries, or to take up space in a world that often tells you to make yourself small. You've realized that your light is not a weakness. It is the compassion that heals wounds, the love that transcends barriers, the gentleness that nurtures growth. But equally, your darkness is not something to fear. It is the force that drives your ambition, the courage that pushes you to take risks, the boldness that tells you to speak up even when the room falls silent. The truth is, both your light and your dark are needed for your growth. It is through facing your fears, embracing your anger, and understanding your deepest pain that you find the depths of your strength. The light you carry cannot shine brightly without the contrast of your shadows. You need both to illuminate the world in your own unique way. Think about the women throughout history who have shaped the world. They were not simply the embodiment of light. They were not passive, nor were they meek. They had the power to stand tall, to demand their space, and to fight for what they believed in. They carried within them a fierce, unapologetic energy, a balance between their nurturing sides and their untamed power. Take women like Frida Kahlo, whose art came from the depths of her suffering. She didn't shy away from her pain, but transformed it into a raw expression of identity and resilience. Or look at Maya Angelou, whose powerful words shaped generations, not because she conformed to expectations, but because she embraced every facet of herself, the wisdom gained from her struggles, her triumphs, her light, and her darkness. These women did not fear their shadows. They used them to propel their voices into the world. When you accept your darkness, you find your true potential. You stop apologizing for your desires, your anger, your ambition, your needs. The voice inside you that has been silenced for so long will begin to rise. It will say what you've been too afraid to speak. It will express what your heart has been aching to reveal. You will no longer hide the full depth of your power. And here's the secret. The more you embrace your darkness, the more your light will shine. The more you allow yourself to experience the full spectrum of your emotions, the more authentically you will live. No longer will you be ashamed of your anger or guilt or sadness. No longer will you feel that you must be perfect, because perfection is a lie. Perfection is a myth designed to keep you from stepping into your power. Real power lies in your authenticity. It lies in the courage to show up as your full self, knowing that you are not defined by any one emotion, by any one experience. Your light and your dark, your joy and your pain are all part of the masterpiece that is you. When you accept that, you unlock the most powerful version of yourself. No longer will you allow your dark moments to pull you down. Instead, you will find strength in them. You will use them to propel yourself forward, to learn, to grow, and to become the woman you were always meant to be. The parts of you that once made you feel weak or ashamed will become your greatest source of empowerment. Your darkness will be your armor. As you walk through life, you will no longer be afraid of rejection. You will no longer feel the need to please others at the expense of your own well-being. You will stand in your truth, and when you stand in your truth, you stand in your power. No one can take that from you. Not society, not the expectations of others, not the limitations that have been imposed on you. You will also learn that embracing your darkness doesn't mean living in it. It means transforming it. It means taking the parts of yourself that you've been taught to hide and using them to fuel your growth. It means creating boundaries that protect your light so you can continue to thrive without being diminished by the weight of others' expectations. You will no longer feel the need to suppress your power for fear of being too much, too loud, too bold. You will embrace your fullness. And when you do, the world around you will shift. You will become a force of nature, unapologetic in your truth, powerful in your authenticity. You will command respect, not because you demand it, but because you are unwilling to shrink into the shadows anymore. When a woman fully accepts both her light and her dark, she becomes unstoppable. She becomes a force that cannot be moved, cannot be contained, and cannot be ignored. Her presence is felt in every room she enters, not because she is loud, but because she is fully herself. And the more she embraces her full range of emotions, the joy, the pain, the pleasure, the sorrow, the more she becomes the woman she was always meant to be. This is the power of wholeness. This is the power of embracing all that you are. When you stop running from your shadows, when you stop fearing the parts of yourself you've been told are too much, you become truly free. You break the chains of self-doubt, of shame, of guilt, and you step into the fullness of your own existence. So, embrace your light, but never be afraid of your dark. To be a real woman is to accept both. Your light and your dark are not opposites. They are the two halves of a whole. They are both integral to your journey. Without one, the other cannot exist. And it is in their balance that you find your true power. The woman who accepts both her light and her dark is the woman who can walk through fire and come out unscathed. She is the woman who cannot be broken, because she knows she is not just her light. She is not just her dark. She is both, and in that truth, she is unshakable. And now, it is time for you to step into that truth. It is time for you to stop hiding the parts of you that have been silenced for too long. It is time for you to claim both your light and your dark, to stand tall in your full power, and to show the world what a real woman, one who embraces her wholeness, can do. When you do this, you will find that nothing can hold you back. You will become the force of nature you were always meant to be. And as you continue this journey of self-acceptance, you will discover that your power grows with every step you take into the fullness of who you are. The more you embrace both your light and your dark, the more you come to understand the depths of your own strength. You will no longer look to the world for validation, because you will have cultivated an inner confidence so deep, so unwavering, that no external judgment will ever shake you again. Your darkness is not something to be feared. It is the source of your resilience. It is the quiet strength that allows you to endure when life gets hard. It's the fire that burns inside you when everything else seems cold. It's the courage that pushes you forward even when the path ahead seems unclear. Your darkness is your foundation. It is what allows your light to shine brighter. Because without the shadows to contrast it, your brilliance would have nowhere to stand. You will find that once you accept all aspects of yourself, you will begin to attract different energy into your life. The people who resonate with your authenticity will be drawn to you. Those who cannot accept your fullness, your complexity, your contradictions, will fall away. You will create space for relationships that honor and celebrate all parts of you, those who understand that your light is not lessened by your darkness, and that the fullness of you is what makes you magnificent. And the world around you will begin to shift. When you fully embrace both your light and your dark, you stop being afraid of what others think of you. You stop shrinking. You stop apologizing. You begin to walk through life like you own the space you occupy. Because you do. You are the embodiment of your truth. And there is nothing more powerful than a woman who knows she has the right to be exactly who she is. You may find that the very things you once feared about yourself, the parts of you that you tried to hide, the traits you thought were weaknesses, are actually your greatest assets. Your vulnerability is your strength. Your ambition is your right. Your anger is your power. Your emotions, in their rawest form, are the fuel that propels you forward. You are not a contradiction. You are not broken. You are a masterpiece in progress. And every part of you, every emotion, every experience is a brushstroke that brings you closer to the woman you are meant to become. The world cannot define you, and no one else has the power to dictate who you should be. Only you get to decide that. As you continue to step into the full power of your authentic self, you will find that the things that once held you back, the fears, the self-doubt, the insecurities, lose their grip on you. You will no longer be a prisoner to the past. You will no longer be afraid of your own strength, because you will see that your strength is not a burden, it is a gift. It is a force that moves you forward, that carries you through the toughest times, and that allows you to rise again and again, no matter how many times life knocks you down. You will no longer apologize for your complexity. You will no longer apologize for your contradictions. You will stop pretending to be anything less than everything you are. You are the woman who is both soft and strong, both light and dark, both vulnerable and unshakable. You are the woman who embraces the fullness of her humanity, the joy and the pain, the triumphs and the failures, the light and the shadows, and in doing so you become unstoppable. And this, my dear, is the truth of who you are. You are a force of nature, and the world will never be the same after you choose to stand in your full power. So, from this moment on, stop hiding, stop shrinking, stop apologizing, step into your full, authentic self, every inch of it. Let your light shine brightly, but let your darkness be just as powerful. You are both, you are all, and you are exactly who you were meant to be. Now is the time to embrace both your light and your dark. Now is the time to step into your fullest power. The world is waiting for the real you. The woman who understands her light and her dark is the one who will change the world, and that woman is you. In the end, a truly powerful woman is not the one who only lives in her light, but the one who knows how to accept the darkness within. Both light and darkness are inseparable parts of you. They are not opposites, but complementary elements that make you the most complete version of yourself. When you accept all that makes you who you are, from your strengths to your pain, from your moments of brilliance to your times of shadow, you will find that you are no longer afraid. You become the most powerful woman, one who never has to apologize for her existence, who never has to hide any part of herself. You realize that perfection is not the goal, but acceptance, understanding, and love for every aspect of your being. When you learn to embrace both your light and your dark, true strength will emerge. You are not just light, you are also darkness, and it is this combination that creates an unshakable power. You will stand tall in the face of challenges, never retreat from injustice, and never regret the decisions you make. So, love all that makes you, you. Embrace both your light and your dark, because together they shape your powerful, unique, and indestructible essence. When you do this, you will not only be the woman the world needs, you will be the woman you are destined to become. And that is an immeasurable strength, the strength that comes from being complete in yourself. There is a precise, irreversible second when time folds in on itself and the past no longer owns you. That second doesn't arrive with fireworks. It doesn't come dressed in applause. It comes in silence, in the stillness after a storm, in the breath you take when you finally stop running from yourself. You feel it first in the body, a tremor behind the ribs, then in the mind, a sudden absence of noise, and finally in the soul, a knowing that everything that came before no longer has authority here. Not the guilt, not the shame, not the voices echoing with what ifs and almost, because the future is not a reward for suffering. It's a rebirth earned in the moment you let go. But letting go is not forgetting. It is not spiritual amnesia. It is not dressing your wounds in affirmations and calling it healing. Letting go is not weakness. It is war, a brutal, honest war, with a part of you that still believes pain is sacred, that still clings to betrayal like it was a prophecy, that still bows to the story written by survival. You don't have to destroy the past. You only have to stop kneeling before it. Because every time you choose to carry what already crushed you, you betray the future that's trying to be born through you. You are not Atlas. You were never meant to hold the weight of what has already happened. Let it fall. Let the old version of you burn, the one who thought love meant proving your worth, the one who equated loyalty with self-erasure, the one who made pain a home because peace felt unfamiliar. Let that version rest. Mourn if you must, but do not resurrect it, because there is no resurrection of the self without the crucifixion of the lie. And the lie is this, that you are what happened to you. No, you are what you choose, despite it. You are not the echo of past mistakes. You are not the repetition of ancestral wounds. You are the first spark of a new bloodline. The one who said, "This ends with me." But to say those words and mean them requires a kind of psychological death the world doesn't teach. It requires syphoria, the state where the illusion of who you think you are begins to rupture, where the mask no longer fits, but you don't yet know what your real face looks like. It's terrifying, and it's holy. This is the underworld that every soul must cross. Not once, repeatedly. Every time you level up, you must go down. Down into the cellar of your unconscious. Down into the basement where your oldest wounds sit like royalty, commanding your behaviors, your reactions, your self-worth. Carl Jung called this shadow work. But let's be honest, there's nothing romantic about it. It is ugly. It is violent. It is you against you. It is the moment you realize your trauma has become your personality. And the mirror does not lie. But here's what no one tells you. That mirror is not your enemy. It is your portal. Every breakdown you had, the doorway. Every heartbreak, a compass. Every sleepless night screaming at the ceiling, the scream was the awakening. The pain was never there to punish you. It was there to introduce you to you. And the you that is emerging now is dangerous because you've stopped negotiating with your fears. You've stopped asking your past for permission to grow. You've stopped performing humility when what you really needed was sacred arrogance, the kind that says, I will not live one more day in a version of myself designed to make others comfortable. That's the future. Not a destination, a decision. And it begins in this breath. The one where you finally realize the door was never locked. You were just waiting for someone to tell you it's okay to walk through it. But no one's coming, because no one can walk through it but you. And when you do, when you finally let go, not just mentally, but soul, deep, cellular letting go, the universe responds. It doesn't reward you. It reflects you. It shows you the world you were never able to see while dragging the corpse of who you used to be. So now you move not with desperation, with direction. You don't need a map. You are the compass. You don't need motivation. You've got memory of what it costs to live beneath your power. You don't need their validation. You've got something far more dangerous. Clarity. And clarity is not clean. It's not calm. It's a wildfire. It burns through illusion, fantasy, delusion, distraction. It leaves only what is real. And what's real is this. You are not late. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are on the exact edge of transformation. And the only thing between you and everything you were born to become is the lie that you must carry the past to prove you've survived it. Let that lie go. The future begins now. Now, not tomorrow, not when they forgive you, not when you feel ready. Now, in the stillness where excuses dissolve and only truth remains, this is the threshold. And on this threshold, something ancient within you awakens. Not the ego, not the identity you've been curating like armor, but the primal essence, the you before conditioning, before betrayal, before the world taught you to doubt your own reflection. That self doesn't negotiate. It doesn't wait to be invited. It doesn't apologize for showing up. It reclaims, not with rage, but with reverence. Reverence for the battles you've already fought in silence. Reverence for the nights you carried your own soul through hell and never told a soul. Because you never needed an audience. You needed resurrection. And that resurrection starts with belief. Not the belief they gave you, the one based on compliance, submission, inherited shame, but the belief that shatters ceilings. I am the author now. I am not a chapter. I am the ink. I am not a memory. I am the moment. I am not a reaction. I am the revolution. Let the world adjust. Because when you let go of the past, you don't become someone new. You return to who you were before the world convinced you to become someone else. You return to the child who didn't fear their own light. The teenager who dreamed wildly before the world taught them to measure their dreams against the mediocrity of others. The soul that whispered, there's more than this, even in rooms full of applause. Letting go doesn't mean denying what happened. It means no longer being defined by it. It means looking trauma in the face and saying, you do not get the final word. Pain, you taught me. Loss, you revealed me. Betrayal, you purified me. But none of you get to name me. That's mine now. And I name myself unbroken. Not because I wasn't shattered, but because I chose to gather every fragment and build something more powerful than what I was before. Letting go is that choice. It's choosing to stop seeking justice in places that never gave you peace. Choosing to stop waiting for closure from mouths that only spoke in code. Choosing to stop needing the past to apologize before you start building the future. And in that choice, something irreversible happens. Time bends. You are no longer behind. You are ahead. Because most people never get here. They loop, recycle, rehearse their trauma like scripture, wear their suffering like status. But you chose liberation. And liberation is violent to everything built on your compliance. People will resist your evolution. They'll say you've changed. They'll call it ego. They'll say you forgot where you came from. Let them talk. Because you didn't forget, you forgave. Not for them, but for you. You forgave the version of you that didn't know better. You forgave the timeline that broke you. You forgave reality not because it was right, but because you refused to let it rob you of your future. That's the kind of forgiveness that moves mountains. And you've become a mountain now, unshakable, unapologetic, unmovable in your truth. The past is no longer your compass. Now you walk by inner fire. And that fire, that sacred, roaring, unquenchable fire, is fed by every lie you've burned, every illusion you've released, every identity you've peeled off your skin like old armor. You don't need armor anymore. You are the storm now. And storms don't ask permission. They arrive, and everything changes. So arrive fully, finally. No more halfway healing. No more part-time power. No more dancing with ghosts hoping they'll recognize the new you. They won't. They can't. Because the new you doesn't exist in their memory. The new you is forged in the fire of release, baptized in the ash of every belief you outgrew, crowned by the silence that follows when the world realizes it no longer owns you. And that silence is sacred. It means you've crossed over into the life that was waiting behind the past, into the you that can no longer be buried by what came before. The future isn't out there. It's here. And it begins the second you let go. The second you let go, time splits. On one side, the memory, the version of you built by survival, by compromise, by the need to be accepted. On the other, the becoming, the raw, unfiltered embodiment of truth that answers to nothing but the call of destiny. This isn't poetic. This is war. A war between timelines. A war between versions. A war between staying familiar and stepping into fire. And you have already chosen. Because the real choice was never about whether you'd move forward. It was whether you'd do it in chains or with wings. You chose wings. Wings forged from loss, from humiliation, from abandonment. Wings that do not glide peacefully through the air, but rip through the gravity of everything that tried to hold you down. There is no map for this. No blueprint for becoming someone who no longer fits in the cage of the past. But the path is felt bone deep, soul first, echoing in every cell that dares to say, I was not born for this silence. I was born to break it. You become the silence breaker, the lineage splitter, the one in your bloodline who said, no more generational guilt, no more inherited shame, no more identities passed down like trauma heirlooms. You burn the script, and in the ashes, you begin writing not in reaction, but in revelation. This is a revelation. That healing is not the goal. Freedom is, and freedom begins the moment you accept that you do not owe the past your loyalty. You owe it one thing, gratitude and goodbye, because without it, you wouldn't have seen what needed to be changed. But with it, you'll never become what you're here to create. And make no mistake, you are here to create, not just a career, not just a relationship, not just a reputation, a reality, one that vibrates in alignment with who you are, not who you've been taught to be, one that doesn't ask you to shrink to make others feel tall, one that feels like home because it was built by your hands, not inherited from their expectations. This is what the future demands. Let you become the architect. No more passengers. No more waiting rooms. No more seeking signs in the wreckage of yesterday. You are the sign. Your evolution is the prophecy your ancestors prayed for, even if they couldn't name it. Your transformation is the language your soul has been whispering since before you had words. And now you speak it fluently. The language of letting go, of unapologetic release, of sacred severance. You cut the cord not because you don't love what was, but because you love what will be even more. And that is the most dangerous act of love, loving your future self enough to disappoint everyone who worships your past. Let them be confused. Let them call it selfish. Let them walk away. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be real. And realness cannot be digested by the world you were taught to survive in. So leave it. Not with hatred, with honor. Because everything you're leaving behind once kept you alive. But now, you're not just alive. You're aware. And awareness is the birthplace of power. So stand in that power, naked, unfiltered, fully aware that your past may call for you like a siren. But you've learned how to swim. And nothing that once drowned you can touch the version of you who has remembered how to breathe. You've risen, not above your past, but beyond it. And now you write the rest. You write it not with ink, but with blood forged in clarity, and hands no longer trembling from doubt. Every step forward is scripture. Every decision to stay free is holy. Every breath you take, unshackled from your former self, is a sacred rebellion. Because the world around you thrives on forgetfulness. It wants you asleep. It wants you numb, scrolling, sedated, digestible. It feeds off your amnesia, your forgetting of who you are and who you were always meant to become. But you remember, not with nostalgia, but with fire. You remember that the system you were born into was never designed for you to thrive, only to repeat. Repeat cycles of self-betrayal. Repeat patterns of scarcity. Repeat the false humility that keeps you asking for what you already are. But no more repetition. You're not here to relive your ancestors' trauma. You're here to transmute it, to become the wild card in a bloodline that only knew endurance. You are not their pain. You are their possibility. And that possibility demands everything. It demands you stop asking how to fit into the world and start demanding how to rebuild it. One aligned decision at a time. One healed habit at a time. One brutally honest confrontation with your own shadow every single day. Because your shadow is not your enemy. It's your unintegrated genius. It's the parts of you still waiting to be seen, still locked in shame, still buried in patterns you didn't choose but perpetuated out of fear. But now you've met them. And when you meet your shadow, not with fear, but with fierce love, you become whole. Not perfect. Whole. Wholeness is not light without darkness. It is light born through darkness. It is the scar that doesn't hide, but shines. It is the understanding that the past was never meant to be escaped. It was meant to be alchemized. You are the alchemist now. The one who takes every no, every betrayal, every closed door, and builds from it a kingdom of unshakable self-trust. That's what this future demands. Not fake positivity, not blind hustle, not curated perfection, but real rooted power, the kind that doesn't flinch when tested, the kind that walks alone if necessary, the kind that no longer begs for belonging because it knows, I belong to myself. And when you belong to yourself, you become the one thing this world cannot manipulate. Free. So let them misunderstand. Let the old narratives grieve your departure. Let the past echo in empty rooms begging for your return. You're not going back because you've already tasted what it means to live with soul. And once you've lived with soul, you cannot unsee it. You cannot unknow it. You cannot unbecome it. You walk forward now, not seeking the light. You are the light, carved by darkness, forged in silence, risen in truth. The past taught you. The future awaits you. But this moment right here is where you command it all. Command it not with noise, not with desperate ambition, but with the still, unshakable authority of someone who no longer needs to be found. You are not lost. You were only layered under expectations, under old names, under timelines that taught you how to disappear with grace. But now you remember the only role worth playing, the truth. And the truth walks different. It doesn't chase. It doesn't explain. It doesn't knock on doors that closed years ago. It walks with a quiet inevitability. Because the moment you let go of the past, you realize the doors were never locked. They were illusions, constructs of your unworthiness, of your fear, of a story you never wrote, but memorized so well it became your personality. But you're not playing that part anymore. You burned the script, and now you improvise with instinct. You move from essence. You build not from scarcity, but from sovereignty. You don't hope things will work out. You decide that they will, because you've already committed to becoming the version of you who no longer abandons themselves for comfort. You are the work. You are the plan. You are the future they try to bury under statistics, systems, and spiritual sedation. But statistics can't measure soul, and systems don't stand a chance against someone who has remembered they are divine. Not in theory, in embodiment. You are the embodied storm, the embodied prayer, the embodied answer to every time you whispered, there has to be more than this. There is, and it begins now. The moment you stop rehearsing your grief and start rehearsing your glory, the moment you stop recycling the same heartbreak and start creating a life that makes that heartbreak irrelevant, the moment you stop begging for closure from the past and start creating from the silence it left behind. Because silence isn't emptiness. It's space, and space is sacred. You fill it now, not with distractions, not with echoes, but with presence. The kind of presence that doesn't perform. The kind of presence that makes others feel seen just by standing near you. The kind of presence that requires nothing but transforms everything. This is your power. Not loud, not desperate, unmistakable. And when you walk like that, when you live like that, the past fades. Not because you forget, but because you transcend. Transcendence isn't escape. It's integration. You've lived through it. You've learned from it. And now you no longer live in it. The future doesn't wait. It begins the moment you stop trying to fix what's already been written and start writing what only you can create. So write it with fire, with blood, with the unyielding grace of someone who finally remembered they were never broken. They were just becoming. And now that you've become not in theory, but in flesh, in movement, in the way your voice no longer trembles when speaking truth, you see the world differently. You see it as it is, a canvas, a battlefield, a mirror. And no, it won't always welcome you, because a world built on illusion will always be allergic to authenticity. But that's not your concern anymore. You're not here to be welcomed. You're here to awaken. You walk into every room now not wondering, do they like me? But asking, does this room honor who I've become? That question alone dismantles every old pattern. Because the moment you prioritize alignment over acceptance, you stop watering dead gardens. You stop auditioning for roles you were never meant to play. You stop bending just to keep the peace when what you're called to do is rebuild the kingdom. Not a kingdom of followers. A kingdom of fire-born souls who have also let go. And that's what you are now. A signal, a rupture, an invitation. You don't need to convince anyone. Your presence is a proof. You survived, and then you chose not to stay in survival mode. You chose to thrive, to build, to embody what the brokenness never expected. And now your life is the echo of that choice. Not clean, not perfect, not polished, but real. And realness is magnetic, not because it pleases people, but because it liberates them. That's what your future does now. It liberates. Every word you speak with soul, every boundary you place with love, every time you say no to what once defined you, you become the frequency that no longer negotiates with the old world. You're not looking back. There's nothing left there for you. And if the past calls, let it ring. Let it echo into the distance where it belongs. Let it decay into myth. Because your myth is no longer one of tragedy. It's one of transcendence. You are not the one who stayed. You are the one who saw the pattern and broke it. And now you build, not from fear, from fire, not to be loved, because you are love, awake in motion, not to be remembered, but because you finally remember yourself. That's the most dangerous act of all, to remember who you were before the forgetting, before the roles, before the conditioning, before the fear taught you to edit your own soul to make others feel safe. You remember now? You remember. And so you let go, and in that letting go, you do what they said was impossible. You become. So now, close your eyes. Feel it, the weight you've carried that was never yours to begin with. The stories, the shame, the timelines, the noise. Let it all fall. Let it burn in the fire of who you've become. And from that silence stand, not as who you were, not as who they needed you to be, but as you, unmasked, unapologetic, unbreakable. You are not your history. You are not your pain. You are not your past. You are the author of the unwritten, and the pen has always been in your hands. So write with the breath of every ancestor who dreamed of your awakening. Write with the voice they tried to silence. Write with the fire they tried to drown. Because the future, it doesn't begin someday. It begins the moment you say, I let go, and never ever look back.